All right, everybody ready? We'll go ahead and get started now. Thank you for your patience there while we're trying to run through these technical difficulties. My name is Scott Jessen. Terry asked me to come and sub for him today. I'm from the Garfield County chapter, so I'm very honored to be here. I got some pretty big shoes to fill coming in for Terry. Figurative shoes, not literally shoes, but they're not very that big. You're welcome, Terry. Where you at? You're welcome, Terry. Okay, so if we could get started here with our invocation, please. Everybody stand for the prayer. Thank you.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the love, blessings that you shower upon us. And especially we think of the blessings that we have of living in this country. We pray, Father, that we'll always stand up for what is right, what is your will. And pray that as we seek to understand more about how to govern this country, lead, that you guide us, help us make all the right decisions. Pray that in your Son's name.
Amen. And stay standing for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice. Thank you all very much. All right, like I said, I got some pretty big figurative shoes to fill here today, so I'm very honored to be here. Thank you all very much for having me and for putting up with me. Terry is very upset that he wasn't able to make it today, but he's got to follow doctor's orders so he can do well. It was a scheduled thing, so everything's fine. He's healing well. He'll get back on his feet here, very literally here real soon. So he'll be okay. Okay, let's go ahead. We're gonna just got a couple things here for you guys, and we're gonna have a couple speakers, and we're gonna learn a lot today, and we're gonna enjoy this, and we're gonna get started. All right, so the 2022 session starts on February 7th, so that's coming up here real soon. All right, there's lots and lots of bills that have been introduced already. Lots. I cannot even go over them. There's that many. In the Senate, we've already had they've filed 774 Senate bills for this session, with 23 Senate joint resolutions. Plus, there's 771 Senate bills carried over from last year that can be discussed as well, along with 25 Senate joint resolutions as well. So the Senate's going to be busy. On the House side, they've introduced 1,482 House bills, 18 House joint resolutions, and 2 House concurrent resolutions. That's just this year. Also, they've carried over 1,942 from last year and 44 HJRs for this year, or from last year as well. So they're going to be very busy as well. It's fitting to get busy, y'all. We're going to need your help. All right. And one of the best and easiest ways to do that is with the text alerts that aren't up there right now. Anybody not signed up for your text alerts? Okay. For those that are online, I think you got that back there, right? So, okay, we can do that. It's very simple. Just all you got to do is just send a text to that phone number, and then just type in "add me," hit send, follow the directions. And it's not a spam thing. They don't spam you. It's not a group text, so you don't get this reply to all crap. It's really, honestly, it's a really good deal. And then they include the links in there. If it says, "Hey, we got this coming up, please call," all you got to do is tap the thing and tap, and then you're already calling them. Okay, or you tap email. It's already done. It's all easy for you. Can't get any easier than that. It's a fantastic deal. Please do that. Voter registration statistics came out recently for Oklahoma. In January 2020, Republicans represented 48.3% of Oklahoma registered voters. January 15th of 2022, 50.6%. Republicans represent 50.6% of Oklahoma registered voters. If we can all get out and do what we're supposed to do, we can do what we need to do. Democrats represented 35.3% 2 years ago, and now they represent 31.4%, a decrease of almost 4%, while the Republicans increased 2.4%. Libertarians, they were at 0.8, they were at 0.5, they're at 0.8, so they increased by 0.3%. Independents were 15.9 and now they are 17.2%, an increase of 1.3%. There you go. So that exactly. So those are some good numbers. We just now got to keep this going. We got some good momentum. We got to keep it up and keep on trucking with this. I recommend with the elections coming up here in this November, I recommend you going to the OK voter portal. It's okvoterportal.okelections.us. okvoterportal.okelections.us. If you go in there, you can sign up to receive email notifications from the state election board. That's fantastic. That's what I do. I get a lot of good information from them. That's where I got all those voting statistics from. You can also begin the voter registration process. Not complete, begin. You can basically go in there, answer the questions, it pre-fills the form, you sign it, you take it into your election office, and they'll finish it for you there. And you show your ID. You can confirm, and this is even if everybody is registered already, which I hope we are. I would recommend you go in there and confirm all your information. It'll have your polling place, it'll have your address, it'll have your precincts, all that stuff in there. Go in and confirm it. I've actually worked the polls. The election polls in Garfield County before, and still going to do it again this year too. We've seen several people come in and say, "Hey, I'm here to vote." We check. The judge checks the voter the roll, and they're not on there. Well, I've always voted here before. Yeah, well, okay, things have changed, since you've last checked it. And usually all we got to do is we call up and we get it taken care of. Oh, you're registered over here. Okay, they go over there. So if you can avoid that for yourselves, that'd probably be a lot easier too. Just go in and check it out. It's really good. You can also download sample ballots. That's a fantastic recommendation I have for y'all. This is what I do. You typically about 2 weeks before the election comes out, they post the sample ballots. You go in through the voter portal and download your sample ballot. I download it, I print it, I take my notes, I circle or I scratch in the ones I want, I write my notes off on the side, I fold it up, take it into the one, I get my official ballot, and I just put it right next to each other. Just do that. It's my cheat sheet. It's legal cheat sheet. I don't show it to anybody. Ain't nobody got to know what I put on it, but I do. That makes it nice and quick and simple and easy for me to go in there, and then right before I'm done, I double check it. Yep, it's all good. It's an open book test. It's pretty cool. You can also request absentee ballots, not mail-in ballots, genuine absentee ballots. So you can go in there and request those for yourselves as well. Okay. You can change your political affiliation if you feel you need to do that. That's important. Republicans in Oklahoma have a closed primary. What that means is only registered Republicans can vote in the primaries. Anybody in a general election or any general question, anybody can vote. They don't ask your party then. So you can change your party for that. Democrats have an open primary. They allow the independents to come and vote in their primaries as well. So if you're an independent, you can vote in the Democrat primary. Okay, but you cannot vote in the Republican primary unless you're a registered Republican. Okay. You can also change your residence and mailing address on the voter portal as well. All right. So that's enough out of me. All right. So we're going to have a few speakers today. It's going to be really good information, and it's going to be a lot. So buckle in, hang on, and here we go. We're going to start off with Michael Morrison. Is that correct? Okay. From the Americans for Prosperity. He's going to have a couple of minutes, and then we're going to have you guys can, after the meeting, go back and do a meet and greet, and he can give you more information. Mr. Morrison, thank you.
All right, guys. So my name is Michael Morrison. I'm the Grassroots Engagement Director for Western Oklahoma with Americans for Prosperity. The reason I'm here today is because we are a grassroots-based organization. The grassroots is typically how we get things passed and how we honestly make the most effect on legislation as citizens, right? So just to put it into perspective for you, I took some time and I went to Virginia for the Glenn Youngkin race. Not only did we see a great grassroots turnout, but we also saw what was it last year, a 9-point loss in the presidential. We saw swing to not only winning the AG seat, but the lieutenant governor as well as the governor. I think that says two things. one, that the grassroots capabilities are absolutely effective, and two, that the American public is disgusted with the current administration, right? So what we're offering is formalized level 1 grassroots training in Oklahoma City. I understand that's a hike for a lot of you guys, and if you can't make it, we absolutely understand. But this training teaches folks how to activate in the community and how to most effectively utilize the grassroots capabilities that we offer. So if those are things that interest you, I invite you to come back and speak with me at the end of the meeting. And we can talk about some of the things that we are working on at Americans for Prosperity. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. All right, next up, we're going to have Miss Amanda Teagarden. She is with the Citizen Involvement in the Legal Process, How to Become a Citizen Lobbyist. Ms. Teagarden.
All right, good morning or good afternoon, and thank you very much. My apologies about the tech stuff. When you own a Mac, it's not always compatible with other people's equipment. Anyway, the gentleman at the back is very nicely going to help with advance the slides. I'm currently the 1st District GOP chairman, and I'm not telling you that because I'm here as an apologist for the Republican Party. There are good people and bad people on both sides of that issue. So you vote the legislation and you vote the principle that's involved with the legislation. And Lord knows that we can have bad Republicans. And I say that as a lifelong Republican, and I've witnessed it. So I would assure you, we're meeting in a church, and I think that our first loyalty is to God, of course, and our families. In our country as too. But I would encourage you not to have loyalty to a party because they are not infallible. Okay? All right. You're truth seekers and going after what's right. And holding the elected Republican officials accountable. And if you don't like what they're doing, vote them out. And that speaks to his grassroots activism right there. I was the executive director of OK2A for several years. And so I began lobbying the legislature. When I first started lobbying the legislature in the late 2000s, I thought I was kind of intimidated, didn't understand the process. And there are a lot of people there in suits. And they weren't expecting the public to show up. I showed up with research that was this thick to try to stop the Trans-Texas corridor. Our group did. Legislator said, it's like, can you put it down into bullet points because the session's already started. And as he pointed out, they've already got this many bills on their desks, right? So if you give them cogent, coherent bullet points that are factual, no big red letters on it, factual, they can use those as talking points on the floor. I also was under the impression that we elected intelligent people. I had my eyes opened about how that thing actually works at the Oklahoma Capitol. I also realized how little I actually knew about how our government works. You people right here can affect change in Ponca City. You can change the county. We're K County, right? We're in K County, and you can change the state. I don't think you can change the federal right here, but you sure can change our communities, and that's where we need it, including in the public schools. So that's my speech on that. Anyway, I started doing this training class in the late 2000s, citizen involvement and legislative process to try to make more disciples of people so you can go do what you're doing. I think OK2A is one of the best organizations that has demonstrated how to get the regular folks involved to defend our life, liberty, and property. It started out as a Second Amendment Association, and it turned into a Liberty group, which I think is fantastic. And most of you probably know that you have also partnered with Oklahomans for parental and health and parental rights. Okay, another fantastic organization. And if you keep active, you are making a difference in this state. And no matter what Lonnie Paxton may think. Okay. All right. Before you begin, when you're trying to advocate for or against a piece of legislation, you have to understand what your principle is that you're defending. What are you looking for? How do you decide if something is a good bill or a bad bill? I have to like Frederick Bastiat's The Law, which Scott provided a copy of right here. And if you haven't read it, it's a fantastic little book written during the French Revolution by Frederick Bastiat. It's well worth the read. It's short and you get a PDF online. Frederick Bastiat says the purpose of law in his examination of governance is the purpose of law is the defense of life, liberty, and property. So when you're looking at legislation, does it follow this or are they outside the boundaries of this? It doesn't guarantee you a house and it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get some of your neighbor's income. What it is defense of life, liberty, and property. And I want you to remember that this is your property too. All right, next slide, please. All right, citizen involvement in legislative process. Next slide. We're going to start with a minor civics lesson. We have two chambers in the Oklahoma Capitol, a House and a Senate. The House, there's 101 House members. They serve 2-year terms. This is the beginning of the first of the 58th legislature. So they'll serve 2 years, right? We already had one guy in Oklahoma City drop out for his own reprehensible behavior, I guess. So, but 2-year terms. So if you don't like the guy you've got 2 years to find somebody to get rid of him. If you do like the guy, you want to defend him in case he gets an opponent, all right? And it's not just Second Amendment. He has to be right on a lot of stuff, all right? So they serve 2-year terms, and we're starting the beginning of the 58th legislature. We have 48 senators. They serve 4-year terms. They stagger it. So every 2 years, you're electing half of the body, all right? Next slide. Next. Are you clicking? Did you freeze? Down arrow. You're being very patient. We had nothing but tech problems. We have a cable that's connecting that to this. All right, each session, they run for 16 weeks. So as he said, they're starting February 7th and they'll end on May 27th. They run for 16 weeks. In the past, I've had somebody ask me, was that all they work? And I say that's all you want them to work because they're making laws that can affect your life and your liberty and your property and your taxes, all right? They begin on the first Monday of February and end on the last Friday of May, all right? So the next one is on one of your 2 handouts here, you have the contact information for your governor, the Senate switchboard, and the House switchboard. Y'all are pretty active people. You may already have that information in your phone. So the one that looks like this is to put that contact information into your phone. And there's twofold reasons for that. One, the first one is so you can call them directly and just ask for the switchboard and be connected to the senator or House rep you want. And so you can share it with the people at work, at church, and wherever that you're socializing, because you're going to be a sharer of that information. So that information goes into your phone so you have ready access to it. Oh, we're changing. All right, next slide. Yes, thank you. Next slide. Next one. There you go. All right, next one. All right. So that's it. The governor's office is there too. OK2A, I'm pretty sure, has on more than one occasion jammed up the governor's switchboard. All right. That's good. That's citizen involvement in this. You can also make sure that you load up your state senator or your state rep's phone box as well. Always remain polite because you're representing not only you and your family, but OK2A on that. And so just keep that and share the information. You are going out to make other people actually help them be involved as well. All right. This is when your computer works, you want to go to www.oklegislature.gov. That is the Oklahoma legislative website. That is the main website. Each chamber has their own website that's underneath this one. This one is sufficient for your needs. If you want to, this should be made your homepage. And if you don't know how to do that, ask your kid or somebody, or just do a search on DuckDuckGo, not Google. We don't use Google on that. And you put oklegislature.gov, make it your homepage. And what we'll be focusing in on is, you see the menu across the top where it says home, legislation, legislators, legislation, committees, calendars, etc. Like that. Once you've pulled up this website, you want to sit down with a cup of coffee and click all the buttons and just find out what each one does until you become real familiar with it. The one you'll probably use the most is legislation. Right there where it says legislation. And this tab right, if you next slide, right there, that tells you your legislature. It gives you your House members and your Senate members. It gives you everything you need to know about them except their phone number, their email address. And I'm going to show you how to get that because they hid it. Years ago, we as activists could get to the contact list. It was an Excel spreadsheet that you could see. You could get everybody's 101 House members' phone numbers, 48 state senators. They changed it and blocked it. So you can't see it. We used to just cut and paste, cut all those, copy everything down, and you would have it. All right, they hid it. So there's an alternative website you can go to, which I'll show you pretty soon. All right, next slide. This one is clicking legislation. There's a drop-down menu, and that gives you the status of every piece of legislation. It begins and follows a flow chart. That's this one with the flow chart on it. That's the path every piece of legislation has to follow in the state of Oklahoma in order to become law. This is our checks and balances. All right. So that right there, that gives you the different versions of the bill. You probably want to start out first with a basic bill search until you become familiar with it. Next slide. Tracking bills. This one, if you want, you can get notification by email of the status of one of those OK2A bills, and it'll be emailed to you from somebody like administrative CR. So it'll look like spam, but it's not. And it'll give you an update of where your bill that you're tracking, where it is. And why do you want to know that? Because if you know where it is, you know who to call and advocate for it or against it. Why against? There's going to be bad bills, and I can assure you there already have been bad bills that have been introduced already. They need to be identified real quick and stopped by starting to make phone calls and what I call poison the well. What does that mean? That means that no elected official, they've gotten so many calls about that's a bad bill, that they don't even want their name associated. They don't want to hear it. So that's called poisoning the well. If you identify a bad bill ahead of time, is that you start making phone calls on the bad bill to your elected official and the committee members right away so that they know that's a bad bill. With that stack of bills on the table that they've got to consider, they're not going to, Senator Dom reads all the bills that are presented. That's a rare thing. A lot of them just go by summary, and some of them are there for coasting. They're not really reading the bills. So if you draw attention to a bill, not just the bill number, but the subject so they can find it, they won't want to be associated with it. But otherwise, they may not know. All right. Tracking bills, you can sign up there, which I can get to, I think, later on there to show you how you sign up. You put in an email address and create a password. And I don't know about you, but you have to write down the password so you remember it. And put in the bills that you want to be notified of. Okay. Next slide. All right. When I told you before on the House and Senate, the main legislature website, they blocked the email addresses for your elected officials. This was put together, the House and Senate, which is thehouseandsenate.com. So .com, it's not a .gov website, it's .com. A legislative assistant realized that was wrong, that they were hiding this. So she created an alternative website to give the public information. So that's a free enterprise system. So her name's Grace McMillan, and she went from the House to the Senate. Now I think she's working in the governor's office, but she maintains this website. You go there, thehouseandsenate.com. There's a little tab at the top where it says click state agencies. Next slide, please. And at the very top, right there, it says, what does that say? Popular lists and directories. That top one, that will be the House and Senate email addresses, their phone number, their names, their districts, etc., just like it used to be. You download that, and then you create your group email list from that back. You just grab that and put it on your computer. All right. The way they've got it set up right now, and a lot of states are doing this, they went with these types of websites where you can only communicate through their system, right? You fill in a box, you want to contact us, you fill in a box, send your message and hit. You never know who you're sending it to, right? They standardized that across that. So somebody sold a program to the states adopted and changed their state legislature websites. The state name changed, but behind them, the software is still working the same, all right? It was part of a big government modernization thing. But that's right there. So right there, download it. That is a regular old-fashioned Excel spreadsheet. You get it and you save it. All right. Next slide, please. All right. You're already doing this. And the OK2A text alerts, everybody in here, he already mentioned that. That's something you text it to that cell phone number up there. Say, add me. You'll get a text and send it. You'll get a message back and says, click a link, put what town you're from and send it. And you'll start getting Don Spencer's OK2A alerts. Next slide. All right. This is the hardest part of this whole presentation. Who is your house rep here? Who? For how? Kim Latrell? Is he pretty good? No? Lousy?
For a long time, he got a deal.
Oh. Is he still a D? Why'd you guys let that happen? Got to get rid of him. He is. Is he right on a lot of stuff? Is he right, pro-life? Is he right on Second Amendment? Is he right on stuff? Or does he want big government like a lot of them?
He's a politician.
He's a politician. Might want to start searching for somebody. Who's your senator up here? Huh? Coleman? I don't know him. Is he pretty good? You got your work cut out in Ponca City.
Okay, well, we could do worse.
You could do worse.
You like him and then you say you don't like him.
Well, I don't know him, but your reaction is like, okay, you should know, and he should know OK2A. All right, call and meet them for coffee. They're home on the weekends. They're not in session. Now, they live around here. So you need to call them and say, this is what I'm concerned about. It's an introduction. It's not an intimidation thing. You're representing yourself and your family and OK2A. It's calm. And just say, I apologize for neglecting you for all these years, but those days are over and I'm now going to be following legislation. So you just keep it real friendly and hopefully exchange contact information. You'll still have his work email address. And just want to let you know that I'm really concerned about Second Amendment and liberty issues and my private property and lower taxes or whatever your issue is. So he knows that there's a constituent. You shake hands and leave.
I think that both of them understand who their voter base is and their supports and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they tend to vote.
All right. Is it predominantly really conservative up here or?
Longer, more so than still.
I'm in Tulsa, so this is all going to be relative. Tulsa's got problems. Anyway, the rural areas outside of Tulsa is usually more conservative than like Tulsa or Stillwater or Norman. Those are the problem places in the state as far as these issues are concerned. All right, so try your best. They live in the neighborhood, invite them out for a cup of coffee. Next one, please. Okay, so that's just a summary of add their contact information, make the legislature your homepage and invite them out for coffee. Next one. Leadership and committees. You probably understand. All right, so you got 101 House members, 48 senators. There's got to be some sort of a structure that manages all of that, right? At the federal level, we have Chuck Schumer. This is Senate Pro Tem. Next slide. That is Trick or Treat, Greg Treat. Is my personal opinion here is that he's politically ambitious man. All right. This is the structure. He is the Senate Pro Tem, and he has the ear of the governor. All right. And then he appoints majority floor leader. He has a very powerful position because he appoints the leadership in the Senate. So the majority floor leader right now, and for several years, it's been Republican majority. So he appoints the committee members, majority whips, chairman, assistants, etc. So he gets the power of that appointment. So he can put good guys in or bad guys in or people who are going to follow the agenda that he wants. All right. Next. The caucus members elect him. So they convene. So the Republicans put him back in there. The Republicans did. Next one is on this side. That is Charles McCall. That is our Nancy Pelosi. And as far as, because most people are familiar with the federal Speaker of the House, all right? This is our Speaker of the House, and it's Charles McCall. His family is from the southern part of the state, and they're in the banking industry. He's the Speaker. He also has the ear of the governor. I will say that Governor Stitt has not been as interfering with the legislature as Mary Fallin was. So I'll just say that. He appoints all of those positions within the chamber and assistant floor leaders, et cetera. And both of these positions are there to maintain party unity, not principal unity, party unity, or whatever it is. How many branches of government do we have? 3. All right. So you got who are they? Executive and legislative and judicial. Yes. So on that, so is the governor supposed to be dictating what the legislature does? No, that's the executive branch. They're just there to oversee and to manage traffic, right? Yeah. So, but he's not. And there's supposed to be a separation of powers so that they act independently of each other, right? And the judicial branch is not supposed to make legislation. All right, next one, leadership. What does leadership do? They maintain party unity, and they can strip somebody of their committee chairmanship, or they can make sure your bills aren't heard. Your legislators' bills are not heard. When I was lobbying, this is some of the terms I heard. Mostly this was when Mary Fallin was governor. The governor thinks this is a good bill. This bill is really important to the Speaker or Pro Tem. You'll get used to how things work around here. That's what they tell the new guys. Like that. We need to get this done. Now come the threats. You want your bills heard, right? Here's the leverage, right? That. And if you don't do this, we won't hear your bills. Now you can ask Senator Nathan Dahm if that really happens, and Senator Joseph Silk if that really happens, because it does. Next slide. Committees. This is the power of appointment of those 2 offices. This is all that they do, all right? So they can control the bills that advance to the floor and what gets to the governor's desk. Next one. Leadership. That's just an overview on leadership. We can get past that. And lobbying. All right. This is the part that you're doing. You want to go to the next slide? All right. OK2A has done a great job as far as lobbying. So if this is new, if it's new to you, or you decide you're going to go to the Oklahoma Capitol and lobby yourself, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can lobby by staying at home, by having that meeting with your own elected official. How many in here have ever made a phone call or sent an email on a bill? Okay. Congratulations. You're a lobbyist. You have lobbied on a position for or against a piece of legislation. That makes you a lobbyist. There's nothing wrong with that until you get into the paid lobbyists there that are buying legislation. Go in groups. If you go to the Capitol, you want to go in groups of 2 or 3 and point somebody to be the spokesperson for you If you go, we want to have bulleted handouts or whatever literature you've got that's coherent. No big gaudy stuff, because they want to use it as talking points on the floor if it's really good. Make it real factual. Like that. Explain why you're there. Use bulleted handouts. Get to know the legislative assistant. Those legislative assistants are there to help you. They're also kind of like the lion at the gate. They can help you get in or start warning the legislator that this person's a problem. And if once you're done, if you go on there, send a thank you card to that legislative assistant. Or when you've had coffee with your elected official, send them a thank you card. It could be a text or an email, but just send a thank you. And that sets you apart, but also make sure that you've got a good working relationship, and keep in touch. Next one. Write letters to the editor. Like I said, I live in Tulsa, so our letters to the editor would go to the Tulsa World, which is a real progressive newspaper, but there are online comments where you can comment on things. And if you keep it really to the point and not personal, make personal attacks, your comments are read by other people. And if your comments are persuasive enough, that's like writing to the editor, because then you can start influencing public opinion on a piece of whatever is published there. So it's gone from written letters to the editor to making comments online. Make sure that they're good and factual, and you're help supporting your position, because other people are reading the comments. Okay, next slide.
Got a homepage in Concord, we can do it here too.
There you go. All right. All right. So lobbying is call and visit all of your elected officials, lobby in person, by phone, or by email. You can write letters to the editor. That would also be making comments online on particular subjects, and state your support for it or opposition, and explain why, and put the capital contact information into your phone. Next one. Legislation. All right, next slide. All those bills that he mentioned that are being introduced, each one of them can only do one of three things. It can create new law, it can amend existing law, or it can repeal law. I'm a big fan of repealers because we've got like 50,000 laws on the books already, if not more. All right, you can get up in the morning and you've already broken a law somehow. Going outside, carrying your gun outside. So there's all kinds of stuff. We have too many laws because people weren't watching, and it's just gotten to be bigger and bigger and bigger. So we used to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, but we're not really very free at all. It's kind of in our heads that we think we are. All right. So legislation. The bills that start in the House will start with H. House bill, House joint resolution, House concurrent resolution. The bills that start in the Senate will start with S. SB is Senate bill, Senate concurrent resolution, and Senate joint resolution. A bill is language that will eventually become, if passed, will become law. Okay, that's a bill and a becoming law. It's also called legislation. Altogether, these are called legislation. A concurrent resolution is between the House and the Senate, and they agree on something that just has to do with the Senate or the House business, their function. It's not going to be out in the public, and it's not a law. The joint resolutions, which he mentioned before, are generally going to be passed by the joint means both chambers sign off on it, agree, and it becomes a ballot question where it's sent to the people for a vote. Okay, so the bill HB or SB become legislation, become law. Concurrent resolution is in-house, and joint resolution is going to be a ballot question, most likely. All right, next one. Okay, creates new law, amends existing law, and repeals. A bill can be all new law. That means you have to read every single word. It can be new law with a section that it's amending. You read the strike through or the underlinement on the amendatory bill, part of it. And a repealer is a short little statement that says Title 26, Section 501 is hereby repealed. And you'll have to go look up what it is. And it just says what it is. Okay. A piece of legislation can have all three in it. It can just be one, or it can just be a combination of two of those. Okay. So you have to read everything. Do I have to read the whole bill? If it says new law, you have to read every word because they're adding to the laws on the books. If it's amending it, read the strike through or the underlinement. That's the verbiage that's being changed. And repeal, you have to go look up what the repeal. All right, next one. This is an example of a new law, and I'm just showing you this. I know you can't read it. This was a bill from last year or so. This gives you the structure, the required structure or layout of every piece of legislation. At the very top is a very long run-on sentence that's called the title. No bill can become law without, no legislation can become law without a title. Sometimes you hear the term striking title. They take off this top paragraph, work on the language in the bill, and then restore title and then send it on. If a title has if there's no title on a bill, it's not going anywhere. Other than being worked on, it will not pass. That's what they're talking about when they say the title. It is a run-on description that gives you a brief sentence. It's running, tells you what the gist of the bill is. It may not make a lot of sense, but it generally tells you what subject the legislation is dealing with and what the plans are, repealing, creating, restoring, the intent. The next part, if you can see the next set of red brackets, very, very faint, all caps, says new law. So what does that mean? Got to read it all. All right, so that's an example of new law. Next slide, please. Amendatory law, same thing, has a title on it at the top, but amendatory, if you can see, they are changing. It says amendatory right there in all caps. The strike through is what they're taking out. Next slide. And the underlinement is a new language. One of the changes you want to pay attention to is when they're changing the word may, which means possible, to the word shall. Shall means it is law. Yes, there's no deviation. So let's say they're introducing new legislation, and let's say some progressive or something, and it says may, they're saying, well, it's only going to be such and such will happen or may happen on such and such an occasion. There's latitude, it doesn't have to, it could be, but it doesn't have to, all right? They'll change that once they've got that verbiage in there, which didn't seem so scary. They've given no foot in the door, so now that legislation, that statute exists. If they strike that out and that becomes may, becomes shall, you know, there's no options. So watch the may and the shall. One little word makes a big difference on that. Okay, next thing. Next slide. That's an example of a repealer. The title could be really small or really large, and it's just a run-on sentence referring to the title of law that is being repealed. It'll give you a general subject matter, and this one I think I can't even read that. I'm going to have cataract surgery, so I'm having can't wear my contacts, which means I can't read. So anyway, so that's a very brief description. Senator Dom had a really good idea a few years back, and he just can't get traction. He's not the first one. Is that for every new law that was introduced, 2 or 3 had to be repealed, and it might have even been 5. Because at the rate we're going, we'll never get out of the tyranny. All right, next slide. Well, House resources. Okay. Remember on the main legislature website where it says home and you drop it down, you can go just to the House website or just to the Senate website. If you clicked on House, this is the House homepage, and you just click on these resources. This is from last session where it says COVID-19 protocols. If you click on that, this gives you all the information on the House page. And again, just click all the buttons and it'll tell you what each of those functions do. I just wanted to show you what the House said. Okay. Okay, next slide. You click on that and you can see how this is for somebody who's a really digging in student. This is if you really want to know how all this works and what the rules are. You click on these tabs that are right there and it'll give you the House journals, past information. This is for a researcher if you really wanted to do that. Next. Yes, you can under legislation, and you probably want to put in firearms, and it'll anything dealing with firearms will come up. Okay, and it's under legislation, and you search text of measures. It's a search, and you put in the word firearms. All right, this is the path of the legislation. Next slide. All right. Like I said, every bill has to go through this. So they introduce the House bills on the House side, the Senate bills on the Senate side, and the starter gun fires on February 7th and say, all right, now the race has begun because they have till middle of March to get all those Senate bills out of the Senate and over to the House. The House has till middle of March to get all those bills out of the House and over to the Senate to follow this flow chart. Some bills are not going to make it out of the Senate. Some bills are not going to make it out of the House. There probably already hints that there's going to be politics on Second Amendment bills if they get assigned to Lonnie Paxton's committee, right? So you're going to have to overwhelm Lonnie Paxton's committee members so that they can persuade him to hear Don Spencer's bills. Anyway, the people's bills. All right. So when it refers to readings, the first reading is the bill is introduced. It's received by the legislature. That's the first reading. The second reading, it is assigned to a committee. It's like a deck of cards. They all get dealt out. Now they're in a committee. The committee and the chairman have to consider the bills that have been dealt to their committee. Those are, you have a Health and Human Services bill. They're not going to have something on puppy mills. All right. That's going to be something else. So yours gets sent to Public Safety Committee and what other committees? General Government? Okay. So your bill, OK2A, will tell you which committee. All right. So you want to make sure you save the committee members' email addresses and make a group email. So when you send an email, you send one email to a group. So you send it to one guy and blind carbon copy everybody else and say, Dear Senator. So you send one email, you're not sending 15. Okay, just blind carbon copy and send it to one, and it goes to everybody. All right, so it goes there. The committee signs it, hears it, they pass it or they don't pass it, and then it goes to the floor with the majority floor leader. Which I guess is still John Eccles, will hold these bills, and he decides which ones go on the calendar to go out to the floor for a vote. You can call John Eccles. He can hold a bill, and he's got a good legislative assistant, and she can give him a heads up it's a bad bill, that bill may never make it to general order. I'm not so sure you got the same thing on the Senate side. Huh? It's a lot of power for one thing. So fortunately, you got a Liberty person working in that office. Can give him a heads up. Okay, God willing, she stays. So like that. So, and then it goes to the floor. Then 101 House members are going to be considering these bills, and they'll vote it up or down. Or there's other procedures that they can go. It's then engrossed. That's a term that say, okay, this is the legislative piece that we passed in the House. It's engrossed, not enrolled, engrossed. Just remember it's alphabetical. Engrossed. All right. So now this switches chambers. Now it goes over to the Senate side, where it goes, waits for a first reading, second reading assigned to a committee. The committee hears it and sends it to general order. Both chambers. Next button, please. Nope. You go back up one. Go back up one. Click a button. A bunch of red arrows should show up. Some red circles should show up just by clicking the down button. Thank you. That's when you make phone calls, is when the bill's first introduced and when it goes to the committee. Why? You have fewer people to call. There's 101 House members. You want to call 101 House members or 12? There's 101 House members. You want to email 101 or just email those 12? All right. So when you have the most success, most options to stop it or advance it at committee so it doesn't get sent to the larger chambers. Does that make sense? Next slide now. Okay. This again is just a general flow chart. It's introduced, it's read by the committees. They can do it do pass with amendment. That means that they can add language to it or strike some language to it. Or they can also do pass with committee substitute. So it could start out as a really good bill. They swap the entire language, keep the same bill number and put in new language and go to the floor. And unknowing people will say, that's still that good bill. It isn't. It's been substituted. On the other hand, it works on the positive the other way. Bad language can be taken out and good language put back in with a committee substitute. And I think OK2A's had to do that a few times. This bill starts out bad and they swapped it for good in a committee. Or do not pass. If it fails in committee with a do not pass, it cannot be heard for 2 years. Okay. Next slide.
So they give an explanation why it failed.
No, you'd have to call them, or you can listen online to the committee meetings. And if they archive it, you can listen to it and hear what their discussion was. You can listen online during real time while the committee meeting is taking place. And that's on that, on the House home, on that main homepage for the legislature. The audio is on the left side for the House and the audio for the Senate is on the right side. And you can listen live while you're at work. All right. It's easier to advocate for or against a bill before it goes to the floor because you have fewer people to contact. Call and email committee members when the bill's in committee and make group email lists of those people. So you don't have to keep entering all those names. Just make a group email, save it as a draft, and then just keep resending it. Next slide, please. All right, tracking legislation. Next one. That little track bills. You guys track them this way, right? You get notifications sent to you? Yes. That's how they know what's going on. It's not that they're constantly watching it all day long. He's got a job, don't you? This is your job. All right. Well, he could be watching it. A lot of people have a life, and it's like, okay, it's easier if it just gets sent to you. So you sign up on track bills, create an account, a little account, write down your password, and then you tell that system which bills you want to follow. I don't think you want to follow all of them. You follow the ones that you really care about, and don't click every function because you'll get like 40 or 50 emails. So click the ones that are significant when it gets sent to the committee. So you'll get a heads up. It got sent to public safety. That tells you I've got to start calling public safety. Okay. Or it got sent to rules. It didn't pass. You can call them and ask them why it didn't pass. And when it goes to the floor for general order, you'll get an email said it's been sent to general order. That gives you a heads up so you know who to call. All right, track bills. Next slide. This is if you hit the track bills, this is the website that comes up. And right there in the middle is select a measure type, House bill or Senate bill. There's a little drop down menu. And you just put in the bill number. You don't have to put in HB or SB. Just put in the bill number and then pick the options that you want. Don't pick all of it because see on the left here where it's got all these little blue buttons all the way down, that goes down to like 37 different options. Don't pick them all. And then it says, save my settings. If you can see at this little box over here, save my settings for this measure. So it'll save it. If you don't save it, you'll have to start over. Okay, next one. All right. This is an example. If your legislation, this is you, the gentleman who was asking tracking legislation, you click legislation, do a basic bill search, and we're looking at House Bill 2335 from last year from Stiegel and Jett. This web page right here tells you every single thing you need to know about an OK2A bill. All right. You can tell right here, I'll have my pointer, history, amendments, bill summaries, versions, votes, co-authors. And this is a scroll down option. They'll tell you where it is. Each of these things over here are hyperlinks so you can see. And then amendments is the second tab. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth tab over is votes. You pull that up and it'll tell you how your guy voted. It'll be everybody's vote. And you can see who voted which way for the House and the Senate. So every vote on that piece of legislation on the floor will be recorded. And out of the committees. Any questions on that one? I know we're going a little bit fast, but like I said, make the oklegislature.gov your website and click all the buttons and you'll get it figured out pretty quick. Okay, next one. All right. Class, bills can do one of three things. What are those three things? Exactly. Create, amend, or repeal. It's not like the answers were up on the screen. Okay. All right. All bills are assigned to a committee, follow the legislative process. This is the legislative process, checks and balances. Why does it seem kind of arduous? It's because making law should not be easy. It should be hard, and there has to be a lot of eyes looking at it because law can change your life for the better or for worse. Okay. The next one. Okay. Review and break. Awesome. You have any questions? You all been making calls when you get the text message from Don? You have been? That's really good. He's really keeping up on it. So pray for Don's health, and we also pray for Lonnie Paxton as well. That he not be so that he just come to his senses about what's really going on. Don't overreact to things. That's a good message for all of us. Do you have any questions?
How many pieces of legislation do you say were about? Like 1,900 or something like that?
Depends. Okay, so you were talking about in the Senate side, there are 774 Senate bills that are new this session, and 23 SJRs. Bills, yes, new ones just for this session. In addition to the 771 and 25 carried over from last session that are eligible to be heard. Right, that's just for the Senate. In the House, there's 1,482 HBs, and then 18 HJRs, and then 2 HCRs, and carried over 1942 and 44, a whole lot that are eligible to be heard.
Can you? So I feel like they did something. Sir, would you minimize this PowerPoint, and can you bring up, go online in the oklegislature.gov website and show that?
Bring in full screen.
Yes, sir. Yeah, ma'am.
So further, are you ever asked to present this in any educational facilities like colleges, high schools?
I've actually done it at the OSU extension in Tulsa on that, and they were it was, of course, the teacher's kind of progressive. So when I stated that we live in a republic, there was like, what? And some of the students didn't. They thought we lived in a democracy. Yeah, I didn't get invited back, but I don't know if they do. I've taught, you're not the first person to ask this. This is kind of amazing. I've spoken at city elders, and it's amazing. We're all just about the same age here, not you, but there's a lot we don't know about how our own government works. I mean, and the media focus so much on DC that that's what we think, and we kind of miss this. Now, what they do around here and in the county and the state, that affects us more readily than it does at the DC level. But that's the news getter, you know. Yes, sir.
Like putting together basically what your slides that YouTube.
There are videos at the libertycentertulsa.com. If you go to libertycentertulsa.com, there are these training videos are there. I go to church in the Heartland, and our pastor just died in December. And it was Pastor Bruce DeLay, who was a very big advocate for Second Amendment. He's a patriot pastor, helped organize Northeast Oklahoma. So he's a patriot pastor. So our whole church is like this. And those are on the Liberty Center is his training center. That church's training center in Tulsa, and this video is on there, and an extended version is on there. So it's Liberty Center Tulsa, and you can go to podcasts, and there's all kinds of speakers. Dr. Everett Piper has spoken there, and big guys, not me, but all of that. So you can see lots of good education, but this is really, we're rethinking. Now the pastor has passed away. We've got to rethink what we could do. And I think a civics class would be really great to have. And a shorter version of this filmed in one session on the Liberty Center so more people could share it. And just get the screens and open up a website so they can click and see.
Do you have any tips for getting that letter to the editor published?
Try not to sound crazy, but it's really hard. I tell people, if you go to the Capitol and you feel like cussing, just wait till you get outside because there's listening devices inside. And it is enough to make a Christian cuss. What goes on in there, it's gossip filled. You can feel it. It's not as bad as DC. There's an evil spirit in DC. You can feel it. I was there once in 2009. That was enough. But that legislature, there's intrigue in there. Okay, so it needs prayer. It needs prayer. And with the remodeling, there's a lot more listening devices. So you can watch the committee meetings online and you can watch the House and the Senate online. So if your bill is up and you see that they're in the chambers and going to vote on it, just know you have a 3 or 4 second delay when you're seeing it. So the vote could have already taken place. So the minute the bill comes up, or when they say the next bill up is, then text your guy or email him right then, because you are already 4 seconds behind. So the action could have already taken place. All right. If you go to legislation, next one, legislation, and you want to do drop down to advanced bill search, right there, click that, please. That's a big pointer. Okay. Over here, this is bill tracking reports. So you go over here where it says subject, right there, click that. Go over to the F. This is alphabetical lists by subject. That's what he was asking. Go to the F. And slide down till you see firearms. Slide down the screen. Firearms and weapons. Okay? Right there. These are the bills. All right? Those are your bills. Firearms and weapons. It has to do with concealed carry, all those other subjects. So there's your bills. All right, and it's referred to public safety. So introduce. Those two haven't been referred yet. Referred to public safety. So those are your bills, House and Senate. Pay attention to which chamber it is. And so some of those bills for OK2A must not be firearms. It must be something else.
OK2A is about liberty in general, so I'm looking for the support them, essentially.
Well, and we don't want the mask mandates or the vaccine mandates anyway, but anything liberty minded. So just go with your subject, pick the letter and scroll down. They'll tell you all the bills that are on your subjects. Okay. So if you go to H, click up to the alphabet, but then go back up to the H right there, click that. Yeah, for healthcare. And there's healthcare, there's healthcare, historical society, human services, children, Medicaid, housing, right? So you kind of get the, vaccination. I just saw right there, left column, right there. Yeah, vaccinations. That one might be worth looking at. Right there. All right, so there's that civil ID. So you kind of got it? Like I said, click all the buttons. All right, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know, Terry has also put together a forum for the school board candidates.
Yes. Yeah.
There's 3 of them running for one position. There are 4 of us on the Senate, nonpartisan. They're open, running.
Tulsa, we're getting behind 2 candidates. One's a former Tulsa County DA, is running for school board. It's like, all right. Anyway, I think it's really cool. You guys have got school board candidates. Could you indulge me and open up one more website? Now that you know how to do that, right? And swap these screens. Just open up one more. See a plus tab at the top. All the way at the top. Just don't know. Very new tab. plus oscn.net. oscn.net.
State board member.
OSC, not B. OS, yeah. OSC, like Charlie. CharlieNancy.net. Awesome. There you go. Yeah, I was thinking. You got a 6 with your W. If you're up in the URL, you got to get rid of that.
Just trying to think there.
It's still going to osbn.net template.
Now. But, yeah, just press enter.
There it goes, slide down. It's that top option. There you go.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, that's Oklahoma, like you said, Oklahoma State's court network, which is fantastic. And that will tell you all the laws that are already on the book. The state statutes are listed there. The Oklahoma Constitution is listed there. You go to oscn.net, find the menu says legal research. On that, click that, and up will come the Oklahoma Constitution tabs to go to Oklahoma Constitution, state statutes, session laws, etc. So you can go and do your own research. You can also go find the court records there, see if your granddaughter's boyfriend's got a criminal record. You can do all kinds of stuff in there. So oscn.net is the court network, and that is the repository for the laws that the state has passed. Okay, lots of good information there. Why don't you do this?
The website now.
Oh, it is? Okay. Oh, well, there you go. All right. One that's not our problem.
Hey, here it comes.
Anyway, so oscn.net is really good. It's an award-winning website that's it's very user-friendly. And it was created by somebody in Oklahoma. Is it is? Okay. Well, sometimes they're down on the weekends for upgrades or do something. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Yes, sir.
What I'm saying is, we've got 13 opportunities for Democrats to shut down a bill that might.
Right. They're outnumbered though. If anything goes wrong at the legislature, because the Democrats are such a minority, it's all going to be Republican fault. Yeah. On the back of this flow chart are some legislative terms also. So might want to use that as cheat sheet if they say it's in certain stage or it's been amended. There's some definitions of language. You also might consider amongst yourselves finding to run for office yourself or amongst your members to run for office, whether it's school board or state legislature.
February?
February.
No, well, what is it here in Palmer? I don't care about Garfield's free, also, okay, oh, it's saying, yeah, we have two up here. It's a primary. But I don't know who. I could.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll work.
That's nice of you. You qualify yourself for conflict and
Relative and second degree or something like that.
pretty sure we've had some conflicts in that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Ms. Teagarden, thank you very much for that. That was fantastic. I mean, that was excellent. Thank you very much. That was really good. That was absolutely excellent, and I learned a lot from that. I want to thank you. A lot of that I had to learn. I had to teach myself, and it takes a while. And I got a lot of it wrong. Actually, I just found out today. So thank you again. That was a lot of going through that. And for all of you guys out here that are new to this as well, it sounds like a lot because it is, but we can help you. We can help the people that you want to help. We can help you help others. Let us know. Contact me. My information's back there on the pamphlets back there as well. Call me. I will walk you through this. I will help you hand in hand. Terry will help you. We will hold your hand figuratively, not literally. We will help you. This is our passion. I know for a fact Terry is just absolutely passionate about this, and that's one of the great things about him. We will help you. This is doable. Okay, we can get through this, and we can do this, and we can make a difference. This is how we do it. All right. And speaking of making a difference, also there has been another announcement. I'm sure if you guys are signed up on the OK2A alerts, you've heard that Representative Roberts has announced his run as for U.S. representative to replace Representative Lucas. Okay. So if that sounds like something you want to participate in, please let him know. Okay. And Sean Roberts. Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. So that's been announced through the OK2A as well. And he has been endorsed by the OK2A. Okay. So if that sounds like something you want to be, that you're interested in, get behind that and support that. Okay. This process that Ms. Teagarden talked about, it works. It works. I've seen it myself. I've been up to the U.S. Capitol, and I went and talked to Senator Langford. I talked to Senator Inhofe, and I talked to Representative Lucas as well. Or I tried to get into their offices. I didn't get to. Every time while I was up in the U.S. Capitol, the first question out of everybody's mouth is, "Who are you with?" I'd say, "Hi, I'm Scott Jessen. How you doing? Nice to meet you." "Great. Who are you with?" And the first time I'm like, "What are you talking about? Who am I with? What? I'm just a guy. I just want to talk to my representative. I just want to talk to my senator." They're like, "Oh, well then, it's the federal government is, like she said, it's very inaccessible. I write them all the time. I call them all the time. Nothing back. Not one. Not a single. The only time I get something back is a canned message. If they get something about something that's really controversial, then they have a canned email that they send out to everybody. That's it. It works here in the state. It works here in local government. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we make the difference. And she's absolutely right. This is how it impacts you the most. If something happens anti-constitutional up in the federal government, we can nullify it here. That's what we've been working on. Okay. This is how we get things done, guys. This is how we make a difference. Yes, sir. Because it's anti-constitutional to nullify constitutional items. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. No, not you can't. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and all laws and Sir, okay, that's a very good question. I'm really glad you brought that up and gave me the opportunity for this. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and all laws and treaties that are made in pursuance thereof. And that's the most important part of the Supremacy Clause, is there's the comma and another part of that, in pursuance of the Constitution. That's the key. Okay. But actually, I'll read the Supremacy Clause for you here, if you'd like. Okay, but that's what a lot of the people actually forget, is the in pursuance thereof. That's the key. So if we make a law that is pursuance to the Constitution, that's the supreme law of the land. If we make a treaty that is made in pursuance of the Constitution with the consent of the Senate, that is the supreme law of the land. And all the federal judges are bound to that. If there's a law or I just had a treaty that is made against, not in pursuance of the Constitution, that is anti-constitutional. That is nullified. And that's the difference that when you hear the sanctuary states about the immigration. Okay, that's the key. The sanctuary states, when it comes to the illegals, that is not constitutional, because those laws are made in accordance with the Constitution. The states have delegated that power to the federal government. Okay, so any law that they make in pursuance to that is constitutional. They are not allowed to nullify that. The Second Amendment sanctuaries that we were working on, those are able. We are able to.
Nullified nullification, basically what you've done. In other words, it's saying you cannot move by a federal unless it's constitution. So, you know, it's unconstitutional.
Federal law.
I kind of got a little confused on what you were saying. Go ahead and try that.
You could only vote federal law, it's unconstitutional.
Correct. Because that goes against the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. United States Constitution. That is the supreme law of the land. I'm confused on what you're saying.
Well, you know, if we're going to believe this kind of stuff, how are you trying to do it?
Okay, sir.
At which point, then it can be ruled as constitutional.
I
And even then,
legislator, when I was trying to start a piece of legislation that was unconstitutional, state legislature that got passed, and he said, it's constitutional until it gets challenged. Considered constitutional until it's challenged, and nobody challenged.
yeah,
That was the state, that was at the state. What is it?
I think the mandates are down right now. They don't, it's my, the Constitution.
because it was never. It's the leader of the free branch and all that.
Okay. Language. Thank you.
That position was never meant to be the all. It is national supremacy. Never meant to be.
And national supremacy is not. Okay. So anyway, okay. Federal supremacy in accordance with the Constitution. It's absolutely limited. Only those powers that are delegated and enumerated in the Constitution are delegated to the federal government. Correct. Okay. So anyway, if I can take your time afterwards, I can probably try to understand you a little bit more. But when I got a little lost in what you were trying to say there. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So we'll talk afterwards. Thank you. Okay. So, like I said, but this works, and I've been up there. I've talked to the state representatives and the senators up there. That it works. I've gotten personal calls back from them, and they are really, most of them are genuinely interested in what we have to say, and this is where we can make a difference. Go up there, be respectful, be nice to everybody up there, especially their staff and stuff like that, because they get all kinds of crap. They get treated like garbage sometimes. And you go up there with a smile, and it's just a fantastic thing. Okay. So always be respectful, always be respectful. And, does anybody else have any other questions for me before we wrap this up? It's been kind of long. Please don't forget Mr. Morrison in the back with the Americans for Prosperity. And you guys can talk to him and get some more information about them. Yes, please go ahead and sign in. And Terry, we hope you get better, buddy. All right. We'll see you again soon. Thank y'all. Oh, stand by.
Here, go into it.
K County GOP meeting, 7:00. When? Next Thursday at the VOTEC. Okay. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good day. Be free.